it's great. It's great to be here at Fusion. Craig's just such a dynamic guy. I can't wait to get him in the studio here and learn about this new product that he's developing, because it really is going to take the machine shop of today into the future and really evolve the industry.
So what's keeping you up at night? I know that I've been talking a lot about replacing you with a robot, and I was having a conversation with your wife the other day, and she's like, I could probably replace Jim with a robot too, as my husband.
I don't know about that. I'm pretty dynamic. So as a matter
of
fact, I'm multi-dynamic, as a matter of fact. But it's the same thing. You just asked me this not too long ago, and right now it's capacity. It's talent. It's taking the business to the next level. We're going to have a great year, and I don't have to tell you that. You've been through that pain before. You know the struggles that are involved in that. And, I think that we just need to be, I said at our weekly production meeting today at CAR, we just need to be strategic about growth. We don't want to go too fast because, first of all, I don't have the wherewithal in me to run, 5 miles at 7.5 miles an hour. I can't do that.
You can't go 5 miles an hour?
I didn't. I said 7.5. I said 5 miles at 7.5 miles an hour.
Oh, okay.
I cannot do that. I need to slow down.
Okay.
And I don't need that in my day-to-day business. I've got plenty of other things going on, and I don't want the business to become a drain on me and my family.
So don't do it.
No, I'm not going to.
Yeah, because I agree. I mean, as somebody that's gone fast.
Yes, it's hard to slow down. It's hard to let off that gas pedal.
Yep.
So
especially as you're looking at retirement, it's you're like, why should I? And I understand, because my dad, when I was pushing him, and he was like, I don't want to. And
were you pushing him?
Oh, I always have for the last 20 years.
Okay.
And now he's ready to retire, and
you're not a nice guy. You're pushing your poor old dad. How are you pushing him?
Well, pushing him to do new and different things. To change,
evolve,
to do more.
Okay.
And, it even goes back to when, my wife and I bought, Black Industrial and Safety Supply. The reason we bought it was not because, I didn't present this opportunity to my dad, because I did present it to him. I said, I have this opportunity, and, should we, Zengers, buy this company? And he was like, I don't want to do it. And that was fine.
Oh, he did not.
He did not want to do it.
He really put the stop sign up.
He put the stop sign up, and he said, if you're going to do it yourself.
Okay.
And so I did.
Yeah.
And everybody challenged me, and they said, you'll never be able to do this yourself, and I found, people who financed me, who believed in me, and, away we go. And my wife's in Indiana right now at Black, and I'm here with you.
And you almost had a heart attack in that transition
period.
I
almost had a heart attack, but that's a different story.
I can't believe you told me that.
No,
and I remember that weekend that we were together.
Yeah, it was never a heart attack. It was always it was stress-induced chest pains, but
yes.
Which we've talked about on other episodes, and maybe we could talk about more in depth in the future how I recovered from that. But it was not an easy time for me, not because we bought the company, but for other things that happened after that.
Right, because you never know what gets thrown your way. Right,
you never know.
So tell the MetalWorking Nation what's going on at the Boring Bar, and what the heck is the Boring Bar?
I've got 4 kids, and I don't like to drink a lot, so I haven't been to the bar in a long time.
Okay.
So, and I don't necessarily know what's going on at the Boring Bar either. But one of the things that I do know is that if you want great information from Making Chips, in addition to this podcast, we've got news articles, and they're really well written. They're not written by Jim or I, so they're well written. They're written by other people on our team, and we've got videos and everything. All you have to do is text CHIPS, CHIPS, to 38470. Do it now. That's CHIPS to 38470, and you will get the Boring Bar, and you will also be the first person to know when we actually introduce the physical Boring Bar, our Making Chips bar.
The brand logo?
No.
Yeah, the branding. The real bar where you can get a beer.
Yeah, and we will invite you out there if you are on that list.
I cannot wait. That sounds great.
So what do you have for manufacturing news, Jim?
It's called The Future of the Factory, which is kind of relevant to what we're going to be talking to Craig about today. And it's all about, what does the shop floor of the future look like? Again, we talked to our friend Akshat from Amper in one of our last episodes about IIoT and AI. And again, this episode goes in this news article from Packaging Strategies magazine goes into that. But I thought we would kind of revisit it again because Craig's going to be talking about why he developed this cobot technology to sell as a product to shop floors, and how it really can automate and make them run more efficiently. And I can't wait to hear what the brainchild was behind this, because man, that seems like a big task to do that. But what do you think? What do you think the shop floor? What do you think Car Machine and Tools is going to look like in 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think there's a couple things that you probably are going to implement. I think you're going to have some kind of automation, like maybe robotics. I think I think that'll probably be one of the last things. But I just think, this whole notion of data collection and utilization is going to be part of your future, and I think you need to do it. And that's going to be part of the factory of the future.
Right. Well, we've already implemented the ERP system, which is we run on tablets and PC stations through the entire shop, and it keeps every single person in this shop is 100% engaged all the time. They know exactly how to set up a job. They're clicking through the setups, completions, and everything's constantly happening. There's 100% engagement with the entire team, all happening simultaneously.
Yeah, and I think doing that paperless is you're definitely a step ahead. So that's good that you're doing it.
It's been fun. So yeah, that's really what the article talks about, and it goes on to say, what they're doing in China, and I really don't care, because all I really care about is what's going on here in the United States. I mean, I do care what's going on in China, but I'm really more interested in what's happening here.
Well, you don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese.
I do not. I know. I barely speak Spanish
or English.
Yeah, or English.
Yeah, you have a lot of trouble.
I do. I really do. So anyway.
So Jim, we're ready to introduce our guests, and we are not interviewing a robot. We're actually interviewing a very dynamic manufacturing leader today who is hosting this great event. So why don't you
Is he more
introduce
dynamic
him?
than I am?
Yes, he is actually.
Really?
Introduce him right now.
He might be smarter, but I bet he's not more dynamic. But no, today's guest is no stranger to making chips. He has been with us before on episodes 46 and 47, where he shared his core values and the ecosystem of his business. He was even part of a guest panel at IMTS 2018 in the Grand Concourse stage. He has offered invaluable insight to the MetalWorking Nation and is a true manufacturing leader in many ways. Today, we are privileged to be invited here to unveil the latest in shop floor automation, the Cobot. Please welcome Craig to his own studio today. It's our remote studio. Craig Zoberis, president of Fusion OEM. Craig, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
How's things looking so far for today?
Well, we a little bit more than expected. We anticipated 150 manufacturing leaders here, and we got 196 to show up.
Wow, great.
Congratulations.
Really
That's
turnout.
awesome.
So
You're not going to have any of those goodie bags left for Jim and I, are you?
We'll have something else, like a special goodie bag for you.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. I'm just give me a beer. That's all I need.
I thought it was hard
I'll be happy if I just have a beer and maybe a taco. I love the taco truck that you brought in. That's awesome. So, Craig, again, congratulations on hosting such a great show. It certainly is going to equip and inspire anyone who attends. Why don't we, instead of us telling the MetalWorking Nation about you, why don't you tell the MetalWorking Nation about you? And, how did you get your start in manufacturing? What was your aha moment? Why did you start Fusion OEM?
And what's been the iterations now that we're here today?
Why are we here today? I'd like to know. I mean, I know why we're here, but I really want to know what was that aha moment? When did the light bulb go off? So go ahead, please.
Okay, so my undergrad is in engineering, and I worked for my father's company, and he had a fantastic engineering company. He had 75 engineers working there, and really loved engineering, but I thought I found something that's more interesting. It was the manufacturing side of the world. And so I started my company, left his in 2002 to start Fusion, and it was an assembly facility. So it was build-to-print products that we did for them, our customers who are OEMs. And over time, we added machining. And the reason we did that was we wanted to control a lot of our schedules, and so we brought machining in-house, which I was using on the outside before. Over time, we built the company up from 5 people in about 2005, and then we hit a high about 50 people. And just recently, was last year. It was about April of 2018. We had the opportunity to understand a little bit more about Cobotics, and I was getting Instagram posts from people from our production floor that were saying, "Hey, these cobots could help us," and I'm like, I couldn't put two and two together. And part of it was talking about the waste on the floor. And one of the wastes that are on the floor, you've heard of transportation waste, overproduction, defects, etc. And one of the other ones is they call it human capital, but better yet, Sam Bouchard said in one book, human potential. And that's when everything clicked. And when Davin, who's with us today, was very instrumental in sending those Instagram posts. I'll let him tell that story.
Well,
Davin, what's your role here at Fusion?
I'm Davin Erickson, the machine shop manager, and we had seen it many years at IMTS, and social media. Obviously, Instagram has become pretty popular for the Insta Machinist hashtag.
Yes, it has.
And you can see lots and lots of examples of people's work, and a lot of that started to include cobots in the past couple of years. So between the Instagram and YouTube and articles and modern machine shop, cutting tool engineering, production machining, tried to keep funneling those to Craig, try and show examples of how this could help us.
Inspire him to make some change.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Craig, Davin's sending you all these Instagram, these DMs, I would imagine, right? And you're opening up and you're saying, "This guy's crazy." Or, what is he? What message is he sending you? So what were you getting? Like, were you saying he's nuts? I can't. Should I get this? Who's going to do it? How is it? Are we going to implement it? Is it going to take away? Is it going to take away human resources and replace them with cobots? First and foremost, what's the difference between a robot and a cobot?
The main difference is collaborative robots are subcategory of industrial robots. They're designed to operate around people. So 80% of the robots we've deployed in the field don't have hard guarding around the robot, right? So that enables you to deploy the robot in a much smaller footprint. It also enables you to keep the integration cost of that robot low because you don't need all the belts and whistles that go around the robot. So that's the safety aspect. But it's a twofold definition. The other definition of the collaborative robot is to collaborate with people, not only work around them, but actually operators could pick up a teachment and program the robot, right? So a human an operator has never touched a robot before, they could pick up the teachment for our robot and program it fairly quickly, which isn't necessarily the case with your traditional industrial robots.
So you don't need to hire a consultant or somebody like that to program it. You'd literally, somebody on the shop floor could do it.
Absolutely.
It's that intuitive.
The programming absolutely is very
and that
intuitive.
really brings the cost of integrating a cobot down significantly.
Correct.
Probably more than half.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and going back to your original question there about what did we see when this happened, and I said, we saw automation, right? But when we have, and I think we kind of represent most American machine shops right now, where there's a lot of baby boomers and then there's a lot of millennials working, and there's not a lot in between. And so as
I agree with that 100%.
As we had,
I'm from that in between generation.
You're in between.
Where did you come from?
Yeah,
Zanger?
I don't know.
No, you're fine.
I'm from that in between generation, and there's none of my peers are in manufacturing.
Right, and so what's interesting is the millennials are embracing it, and we always thought, or at least I thought, well, we can have people be machine operators, and they'll over time, almost by osmosis or just being in front of a machine all the time, they'll learn how to become a machinist. But that's a long process, very long process. And that's when the aha moment occurred, Jim, is when Davin explained it to me. And he said, why don't we put the robots in front of the machines and attend the machines while we can focus on these millennials and train them? It could be from online training. It could be shadowing, job shadowing. It could just be doing other work that is more human-like, that's more cerebral than just what we call robotic motion of putting parts in a machine, taking parts out of a machine. So that was one of the reasons that we said, hey, if that's one way we can be more competitive, let's put one in place and try it out.
Yeah. So let's talk about the metrics, Craig. I know this is a really important data on what NAM, the National Association of Manufacturing, is saying about the manufacturing and the workforce. And we all know, I mean, everyone knows the pain that there's a huge skills gap out there, right? So I see that you have the data in front of you. What are they saying about manufacturing and the skills gap? And why don't you read off some of those? Because it's really sobering, quite frankly.
Yeah, it was quite sobering when I saw this. So Universal Robots put out a nice white paper which included things from NAM, and one of them was about the let's call it the baby boomer generation, which is age 55 to 64. They represent 65.5% of the labor pool today. And
65%,
right.
Wow.
And 22 to 27% of the nation's manufacturing workforce, which is incredible. So to fill in that gap, we got a lot of work to do. And if it's training people up or putting automation in, those are the two items that I believe we're trying to address right now.
Yeah, I know it's staggering to read, and it's staggering to hear. And there was one other sentence in that piece of material that says, that means that a 1,000 person manufacturing company needs to attract 220 to 270 new workers just to fill retirement vacancies. Wow, that's scary. That means we as manufacturing leaders need to do something. We really need to be proactive about this if we want to see this industry flourish in the future and be the powerhouse that we are in this country. So now that we've defined the metrics, tell us what you thought after Davin's sending you all these Instagrams. You're getting all this data back, and you're kind of putting it all together in your head, and you said to yourself, what do I need to do?
Yeah, so we said, hey, let's dip our toe in the water, and we bought one of the robots. We bought a UR5 from Universal Robots, and we installed it in, I would call it the Rube Goldberg way of doing it, and to test out the concept, we had the robot open the doors for the machine,
Cool.
place the part inside the machine. We had to learn a little bit about clamping, and then we just tested it out, and we found that this proves to have some sort of value. And then, fast forward to today, our machining processes are the same time frame. So how long the part takes to manufacture inside the machine is exactly the same. Because we're a high mix, low volume contract manufacturer with a lot of repeat work. So we had a lot of information on our how we did on each one of our jobs. So what we've discovered, fast forwarding again today, is that we're 26 to 32% less time on the production floor just because we don't have an operator in front of it. Rather, we have a robot because it's consistent. It doesn't take breaks. It's not slowing down just on the pace of a human. It's just human's nature that might slow down or speed up during a day. But we found that doing a little bit of those time studies at that time discovered that this is a real value that we can put on the production floor.
And how long did it take until you were actually fully utilizing that cobot?
We did changing out parts fairly quickly. I mean, within a couple days, working out, like Craig said, the work holding and the mounting and our table situation, it went very fast.
Davin, what kind of machine did you put your first cobot or robot on? Was it a turning center? Was it a 3-axis CNC or what?
It was a 3-axis VMC Haas VF2.
And what was it doing? What did you program the robot to do? We know it opened the door. We know it grabbed the part. Did it open the chuck? Did it open the vise? Did it open the fixture? How sophisticated was this process?
We added some Kurt hydraulic vices initially.
Okay.
And then some air vices, air vice brand vices. We the robot opened the door, pressed the button, but everything else, the robot actually handled the work holding, but just through the I/O on there. So it didn't actually close the vise. It just sent a signal to close the vise.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
We're programming, picking it up from the array on our little makeshift board in the beginning, putting it in the vise. Robot's telling it to close the vise, and then it's pulling back, closing the door, hitting the green button.
The start button.
It's start button.
Hit it, and then repeat. Just do the process again. So, what kind of volume were you doing with that? I mean, was it 10? Was it 20? Was it 1,000? Was it 10,000? Or
Initially, I mean, we started out with some jobs that were under 100 pieces.
Okay.
We were experimenting there, and we still do jobs that are less than 100 pieces, especially if they have a longer lead time or cycle time. We need the opportunity.
The cycle time is a key component then.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we especially for first stop stuff where we're taking raw stock, just rectangular chunks of bar stock.
Yep.
It's very easy to change the program from one part to another. So we are able to do as few as 20, 30 pieces, even of a relatively simple, low cycle time part, and just change it over in 20 to 30 minutes to get to the next one.
Okay, interesting. So when did you decide, Craig, that this is when you wanted to start developing your own product line? Because that's really why everyone is here today. This is the unveiling of, the FC01 and the FC06. I don't know if there's any other model numbers in between that.
There are, yeah.
Right. So is it 1 through 6?
Yeah, we have 1 through
10?
6, and our goal is to have 10 total standard solutions that we can offer our customers of an integrated solution. So the aha moment, came a few months afterwards, and when I met Misa from Universal Robots, and we had a conversation about this is unique, where we were having a hard time bringing on new business on our assembly department, and I said, oh well, how can we fortify new business in that area? And so a lot of the discussions came in and said, hey, well, why don't we recalibrate our people that are on our assembly department and engineering department to do systems integration, taking standard universal robots and integrate them into the CNCs for other customers. And I said, that's a great idea. So we spent, oh gosh, Davin, you were part of this. It was probably about 3 months of strategy discussions, one way or another, about how this would work. But Misa kind of put some metrics to it and saw the opportunities there for us and said, hey, well, Fusion would be a great company to be a Universal Robots certified systems integrator, because you have the team. You also have a showroom of the product being demonstrated. And also you have a laboratory where you can test different unique ways of trying to do machine tending in a CNC application.
So besides machine tending, what are the other obvious applications for a machine shop to utilize this type of product?
Yeah, why should I get one in my shop?
So obviously machine tending, pick and place, loading and unloading equipment is probably the number one application that the robots in general are deployed in machine shops, right?
Yeah, those are the big obvious ones.
Those are the
We've
big
talked about
obvious,
those a bunch.
and then we could do deburring, polishing, sanding, quality inspection of the components. But it really depends what size parts you're making. If you're making a giant part that has 8 hours cycle time, and you're gonna load it into a CMM machine, you could put a sensor on the end of the robot that will inspect the component, either a visual sensor or a CMM at the end of the arm that will measure that part, right? So if you have operators manually doing that measurements, you could potentially automate that process. But we have customers that are doing finishing, the secondary finishing on the part after the parts are coming off the machine. They're doing polishing, deburring, sanding, any secondary operation that needs to be done after it's machined.
Great. So now you've mentioned before that these cobots eliminate the 3Ds. Can you explain what that is?
So the intention is to eliminate the dull, dirty, and dangerous, right? So we
dull, dirty, and dangerous. Great. Well, it's true.
You encompass two of those Ds, Jim.
Yes, dull and dirty.
Yeah.
Typically, from what we've seen is the first application you should be looking at is obviously the one that are extremely dangerous, right? You have ergonomic issues, you have safety issues, or it's application that you have to automate it, right? Because OSHA might come in and take a look at the process. This is not safe, right? But from experience, also the lowest hanging fruits are typically the applications that are very dull, right? If you have an operator doing a task for 3, 4, 5 hours a day with, really not using their brains, that is a very good process to automate first, right? Loading and unloading equipment is typically falls under that category, right? I think dirty and dangerous are typically go hand in hand. If an operation is dangerous, it's typically dirty, right? So those are the 3 Ds that we try to have customers focus on and try to automate in their shop.
Yep. So what about uptime, Craig? I mean, if I were to get one of these in my shop tomorrow, if I had a right fit for it, I believe it's all about the right fit. Absolutely. And I don't know that yet, but I would imagine there's probably the right fit, because I know when I take a job into my shop, if it's the right fit for car, it might not be the right fit for another machine shop. But what is the uptime? So once that hits the floor, once we take it off the lift with the lift truck and drop it on the floor, and the time starts, the stopwatch starts going, how long before it's loading parts and hitting the cycle start?
Well, so I'll tell you one interesting thing is that we're offering cobotic solutions for CNCs, and we're delivering them within 10 to 15 business days. So we're delivering them. So what's unique about our offering too, we're in the Chicagoland area, and we're serving pretty much a 100-mile radius of here. We're reaching down to Indianapolis, out to Rockford, up to Milwaukee. But we'll deliver this machine, let's call it a Monday. We'll deliver it. That same 2 people that will deliver that machine will place it in position, wire it into your CNC, and bolt it to the floor, get the machines talking to each other, and we'll start, by that end of that day, be able to start demonstrating how we can start indexing parts into the machine. The second day, we would then start doing what we call basic training, and it would be kind of like a job shadow of how we would program the machine, show the customers the best way of, best practices of actually doing machine tending, and we'll spend a whole day with them doing this work. And the third day, we would follow back up and be present there, and hopefully they kick us out by lunchtime.
That's great.
So it's like a Wednesday afternoon. So from a Monday to a Wednesday afternoon, we should be having a machine tending solution working on a production floor.
Fantastic. So you mentioned that they talk to each other, the CNC machine and the robot. How do they talk to each other? Do they talk in a different language? Do they talk in Spanish? Do they talk in French? They talk in Jason's language?
They talk in zeros and ones.
Yes.
Yes, zeros and ones.
How do they communicate?
Yeah, so there's simple inputs and outputs that we're working off of with the control. It's remarkable.
Is it like G&M code programming?
Some of it is. What is it, Davin, that there's more you know about this than I do?
We're using inputs and outputs on both the robot and the machine. And then there is some modification to the CNC program, the G code itself, and then also a little bit of the robot.
Do you have to add another board to your CNC machine, or?
We haven't yet. There are some machines that obviously, with all the options that are available on different CNCs that use up all the available M codes there. Most machine manufacturers offer a piggyback board there that offers more M codes there. So that may be something that is required.
I gotcha. Okay.
So there's also some unique ways of doing it too. In some applications, if the machine is incapable of, communicating through its, board, it's like we mentioned before, we've actually used the push button station to hit the green button to go. We've done that. We've used the robot to open and close the door, but now we have auto doors to offer too. So there's a lot of different ways, and I think every job could be unique depending on the application. Some of the applications that we're doing are not even CNC machines. So we've done ones with floating tapping open systems that are like, all kinds of like simple, like looking Bridgeport type machines that can, or drill presses or whatever, the Commander machines, I believe they are.
What about installing helicoils?
Helicoils?
Yes.
It's a good
because
one.
I've got a job that we've got to put like thousands of
You have to
helicoils.
turn that installation tool.
No, well, we can, there's
you're tapping it
there's
first.
helicoil insertion tools that are pneumatic, but maybe we can
okay.
get the robot to actually freaking do it. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so they're using robots in like screw applications, right? So it's kind of like the same idea right here, Misa.
Yeah, the robot is limited by the amount of force that it could apply. So if it's a hydraulic press, I'm not familiar with that process, right? The robot is only capable of producing about 250 newtons of force, right? So about 50 pounds of force if you want to apply it to something. So if it's more than that, typically a collaborative robot might not be the option.
In real terms, what does 250 newtons of force mean? Is it like the force behind closing a 6-inch vise, or what? How do I translate that? Because I don't know what 250 newtons of what does that feel like?
A 50-pound weight.
Oh, okay. That's pretty significant then.
Yeah, and in your application, it's mostly the pneumatic tool that's doing the work of
the
the
pneumatic
installation.
tool is going to be actually
so you
doing
essentially would just want that cobot to be bringing that tool down.
Right,
and then
exactly.
the pneumatic tool
Right.
does the work at that point.
Yeah, so some of the like screw applications, you've seen these arms that they hold the screwdriver or the tool there, but they use the robot to actually move it into position. So it's kind of like an assist. So you're actually turning your that system into a CNC.
Gotcha.
So Craig, we've talked about cobotics, robotics on the show a lot, and you've delved into there. You've made a commitment that this is going to be part of your future, and you run your own machine shop. So what would be your advice for the manufacturing leaders out there? Just a few things to lead them with if they're on the fence about cobots working in their being a part of their future. What's your advice to the Metalworking Nation in order to get started?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I believe you need to start working into the ecosystem. It's a very transparent ecosystem. People that have put robotics in are celebrating it.
They want to talk about it.
They want to talk about it. They want to share it, and that's like how we just talked about Instagram. You'll see all these things that get inspired by it. Go see other people that have put cobots in. That's another one. The other one is look for a win on the floor. There's a lot of applications that we look at with our prospective customers, and they want to do too much.
Yeah,
and it's
so look
like,
for the easy win.
Look for an easy win, and it's just so you can get used to it, because it is a mind shift. It's a paradigm shift for manufacturing to do this. So try something simple, and you might say, "Oh, I can't justify it," but to test that out. So that would be my first recommendation. And the second recommendation is try it. I mean, worst case is, maybe you've automated the heck out of one process, but not everything, but you got to chip away at it. We're not looking at saying, hey, we're going to, become this much more efficient overnight. We have to do it step by step. And I think that's a key thing to remember, is to go slowly through it, look for easy wins. And again, like I said before, just go out there and visit other people that are put robotics in.
And then come to the showroom here at Fusion and Burridge.
Oh, yeah.
And see you're going to have them here for demos at any time somebody wants to.
Yeah, even if someone's not going to buy a solution from us, I welcome them. I want to show them how this is part of the ecosystem that we have in Cobotics. I think that Davin and also Misa could agree that it's probably not everybody's keeping this a secret. I think everybody is really shouting from the mountaintops that this is the way the future is going to be.
Without a doubt.
Got to get with the future.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. Craig, thanks so much for inviting us into your facility today, and it's a great conference. I'm sure you're going to equip and inspire the 195 people that are going to be here on your floor and the thousands of people that just listened to the show today. And thank you for being a leader in our industry, and we look forward to working together in the future.
Well, thank you for inspiring everybody else out there in the manufacturing world.
Thanks.
We appreciate all the work that you guys do here too.
Yeah, and if the Metalworking Nation wants to hear more from Craig, what are those other episodes, Jim, that they can listen to?
MakingChips.com /46 and 47. And I don't know what the episode number he was on with the IMTS guest panel, but that was back in
46 and
September.
47 are good.
46 and 47 are really, it's Craig all alone talking about his ecosystem and the core values. And I have to tell you, that inspired me to create my core values at Car Machine and Tool as well. And it's been really, it's been very significant change for us. So thank you.
So Jim, are you ready to buy that cobot so you can work on that?
I definitely want to go. I definitely want to go see it. I definitely want to see if there's an application, because literally we do have a job that is coming up. We've got a huge job that we're running, and every single part, one part has 100 helicoils in it.
You've talked to me about
and we've got 120 parts.
Yeah, you've talked to me about how dull that application is, but it needs to be done.
It's just arduous. It's really labor intensive. So I don't know. Maybe there's an application for that, and we can talk it through and see if there's a fix or a fit. More importantly, but anyway, we're making chips today, man. Because
if you're not making chips,
you're not making money.
Bam.
Bam.